Thanks very much, everybody, for joining us today. I appreciate you taking some time out of your own your work schedules or your lives, whatever the case may be, to learn more about our digital program. My name is Todd Rich. I am the program manager for this program, and I will sort of facilitate this session. And my role as a program manager is to kind of manage all things that have to do with this program. So I look after some of the marketing stuff and the budgets and retention, customer service. I look after the curriculum. I look after the instructors. One thing I do not do is I do not teach any of the courses. So if people have specific content questions, I'll do my best today to answer them, but I probably won't have too much insights if they're very specific. But if you do have a specific question, I can certainly take it offline and get back to you with an answer if need be. So just want to put that out there just so you know that I don't teach the courses. I just kind of manage the program. Really, my biggest role is to make sure as students that are in the program that you have a successful learning experience. So really that entails a lot, but that's my role, is to make sure you have a positive experience in the classroom, with the instructor, with the program, with the university. That's my biggest role. So just a quick agenda so you know kind of where we're going today. I will talk a bit about why choose York. I'll talk obviously about the program. There's a couple of different options that we offer, from the short certificates in digital and content to a full-time program, which is a little bit longer. I'll go through some trends in the area of digital marketing. You may be aware of some of these, maybe you're not. I'll take you to the website in case you haven't been there to kind of see where you can find more details. And then I'll spend as much time as needed to answer all of your questions. So feel free to post them. You can post them now in the question box. I probably won't get a chance till the end to answer them, but feel free to do that if need be. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a bit about some of the trends in digital marketing. And this actually came from one of my advisory board members who, the advisory board is sort of the group who helps give us some real strategic direction in what's important, what should we be covering in the program, all that good stuff. So what she talked about is just the fact that 5 years ago, digital was really about buying AdWords and search engine marketing and optimizing websites for SEO. And now people are sort of moving to a digital sort of area where social media is helping create awareness for their brands. They're using it to provide customer support. And it's a key part of the sort of selling process and lead generation. So social media is sort of becoming a new trend in that area for sure. Content marketing also is one of the new trends. So as you may or may not know, previously, people used to write these white papers, which are kind of like essays, and sort of the thinkers in the industry write these essays, and people would read them. But now content marketing is really becoming about blogs and infographics and buying guides and interactive pieces based on how consumers answer questions or click on content, so that they know and they can create content that's really specific for you, because they kind of know a bit about who you are. And I'm sure you're familiar with all the Google stuff. And if you do a Google search for places to visit or a holiday, you start getting ads for hey, come to the Bahamas or come to Europe. So they kind of know who you are and what you're doing, and that sort of fits into some of this and from the content perspective. So the next one is around the automation of marketing. So again, that's really becoming a sort of a new thing with Cloud and Marketo and HubSpot. And again, I'm not really familiar with those tools, and maybe you are. If you're not, that's fine. You'll learn about it in the program. But these are the sort of tools that organizations are using to assist with customer management and to sort of making the process of buying ads and automating that process and automating emails and those kinds of things, so that they're a drip campaign. So if somebody comes in and joins your mailing list, they start to get emails from you, and you can kind of automate that process again, so it's not as manual. And there's tools like CRMs and things which will help with that, obviously. And then obviously analytics is a big part of the digital trend. Now businesses want to know where's my marketing dollars being spent? How do you sort of know if it's a return on my investment, if it's a good return on my investment? So there's lots of really good tools out there that you can measure that stuff, and organizations can really sort of see if they can quantify the results to ensure, again, that they're meeting the ROI and giving back to the organization to increase revenue, because at the end of the day, that's really what their most important goal is to increase revenue and sales. So let me just talk a bit about the courses. I think this is going to be important just because um, I think people want to know what they're taking. So again, I'm not an expert in the content. I'll show you where you can find more information on the course descriptions, which will give you a little more details. But in the 3-course certificate in digital marketing, there's the fundamentals of digital marketing. There's the marketing for social search engines and social media. And then there's user engagement and marketing automation. From the content side, there's planning and analysis for content marketing, content creation, and content promotion and amplification. So you can see that those 2 programs are 2 separate programs on their own, 3 courses, and they're each taught in a blended format, which I will talk about in a bit. If you're thinking about doing the full-time program, then this is the schedule that you would follow. So you can see that it's the same 3 courses in digital, the same 3 courses in content, and then we added 2 additional courses, one in fundamentals of marketing and business in the digital age, which again just gives you a broader perspective of marketing before you get into the sort of heavier digital and content marketing courses. So if people want, no, let's get that. Okay. So I wanted to give you a little sense of what the blended format looks like. So as I said, the 2 short part-time certificates in digital, and then there's one in the content, they're offered in a blended format. So that means that you'll be studying for 7 weeks online, and then there's 1 weekend block. It's a Saturday, Sunday, which is face-to-face here at York, and that's required. So we actually have students, our first cohort, it's running now, where they're just almost finished with the first course. And we actually have students from Montreal, we have students from Ottawa. We have a student who's actually living in Abu Dhabi who's flying in just for this, which I found quite remarkable, quite surprised, but she seems to be enjoying the program and making that commitment. So you don't need to live locally if you're thinking about doing the 3-course certificates, but you do need to be here for those face-to-face, and we can obviously provide the dates and stuff so you can kind of plan accordingly. But a lot of the work happens online. For the 3-course certificates, there is no admission. It's direct enrollment, no application required. Literally go to the website, register, and off you go. The programs are taught 1 course at a time. It takes about 8 months to complete it. So you do 1 course, there's like a week break, you do another course for 8 weeks, and then you break, and then you have the last 8 weeks. So it's about 7.5 months, almost 8 months. They are cohort-based. And this is true for the full-time programs as well. And what I mean by that, if you're not familiar with the term cohort, it means that you'll be taking the courses as a group. So everyone in the cohort is taking the first course, the same group takes the second course, and then the same group takes the third course. And really the benefits of the cohort is the fact that you get to sort of learn with the same students for the entire duration of the program. You get to build some really nice networks, some study groups, some friendships, even some networking if people are sort of already working in a marketing field and maybe a job opens in their organization. They've seen you work in some of the group projects. They can kind of maybe, put your resume on someone's desk. So lots of nice benefits to the cohort. And we're really kind of pleased with how that's been working out so far. All the courses have graded assignments and projects. Sometimes they're individual, sometimes they're groups, just depends on the course. Sometimes they involve working with real companies, sometimes they don't. So a nice variety and a mix there. And just to let you know that our instructors are practitioners. They're not full-time faculty on campus where they spend their time doing lots of research. These are people who are currently working in the field. They're almost all senior practitioners. So they've been working for a long time. They're very, very knowledgeable. And they're also kind of up to date with current trends because they have to live and work in that environment every day. So here's just a quick example of what the blended will look like. So the first week you're online. The second week, the end of the second week, you'd be coming to York, and then you do the rest of the sort of course online, and then you've got a break, and then the next course begins. So as I said before, 7 weeks online, 1 week face-to-face, and that really worked really well with the current group. That first week, people were sharing family photos and their background, their stories, and people were really building this really nice community, which was great to see. And then when they got to the face-to-face, they kind of already knew each other in a way. And sometimes, because when you're sort of meeting people for the first time in a weekend, it takes a little time to get to know each other. But because they've had that whole first week to get to get to meet and learn from each other, it made the second week in the face-to-face part much more engaging and meaningful because they already had these relationships. So that's actually worked out quite well. If we skip to the full-time version, you can sort of see it's a little bit of a different schedule. So the way the full-time works is you can see that there are 2 courses offered at the same time in the week. So we kind of have them in blocks. So each class will run for 3 hours. The program that starts in the fall, just so you know, does run from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. So we did that kind of later in the day, so people had full-time jobs and they wanted to do the full-time program. They might be able to kind of manage both just because it wasn't in the middle of the day. So you can see that you're in class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's no classes scheduled for Friday. Each class will run for 6 weeks, so there are 12 sessions. So if you think about if your degree courses, if you're familiar with that, each course runs for 36 hours. We've just sort of accelerated it by having it twice in the same week. So that's how that works. And then when these 2 courses are over, there's again usually a break, about a week or so, and then you'll start the next 2 courses. This program does have an application process. So if you are thinking of doing this, you need to have a college diploma or a degree because it's sort of post-grad. We do require a statement of interest, kind of just to get a sense of your background and why you think this program is a good fit for you. And if you're an international student, you do have to have an IELTS of a 6.0, and that's overall. So that's just sort of the requirements to get into the program. So be aware of that. We have received a lot of applications for the fall. So if you're thinking of registering, you should certainly be doing that very, very soon. I've already started to review the applications, and some of the actual offer letters will start going out in the next week or so. So if you want to be in on that for the fall, I would certainly suggest you get that application in ASAP. Again, not too complicated, just except you need to sort of make sure you have your language scores and that statement of interest for everyone. But if you're international, obviously the language scores are important too. So let me just take you quickly to our website just to show you 1 or 2 things. So give me a second while I navigate there. Make sure people can see that. You can't. So let's see. Can you see that? Okay. So I think people can see the website. So here's our website. You can kind of peruse it on your own. I'm just going to move a couple of things on my page here. Sorry, I'm looking at another screen, so excuse my side of my head there. So anyway, there's lots of information here. There's that video that you may not have watched earlier. Here are the 3 different programs, so you can kind of get a sense if you have a specific interest in one of them. I'll click on the full-time program. So here's the full-time program. You can scroll down and read some more about the specifics of this program. You can read about the learning outcomes, the advisory council, the instructors. So here's a list of the instructors and their backgrounds. You can sort of see the courses that are in the program, etc. If you scroll back to the very, very top, you'll see this enroll button, and you'll see the 2 options. So you can sort of see that the domestic fee is different from the international fee. And to apply, just click on the apply button and kind of follow the path. I'll click on this one just as an example. Oh, that's interesting. The course descriptions aren't here. Anyway, I'll get those up ASAP. But if you actually go, let me, sorry, back out of here for 1 quick sec. So, okay, so if you go to the certificate in digital marketing and you click on that one, you should see the descriptions and you don't. Okay, sorry. So my fault. Looks like the descriptions haven't been posted. I will get those up ASAP because we have them all. So bear with me. If you have specific questions about the content, you can always send me a quick email at the end and I can sort of share more information. But I thought that was already up and I see that it's not. So I apologize for that. Okay. Last thing I'll just show you is sort of policies and stuff. So you can kind of, again, peruse the website and get more information about the program. Okay. Now let me see if I can get myself back to my presentation. Okay, so that was sort of the end of my presentation. Like I said, I wanted to show you the website just so you can kind of peruse around. And I apologize for the descriptions. I will get on that ASAP. I thought they were there. But you should certainly see the course names, and hopefully that gives you a little insight. But certainly I think the course descriptions would be very, very helpful, obviously. Before I get into sort of looking at the questions, because I see there's already some up there, which is great. I'll just sort of mention that if you have questions, you can certainly talk to our advisor. Her name is Morgan, and her email is up there. And I'll leave this up while I answer the questions. Once you become a student, you can speak to Allison. or if you have questions around the application process, Allison is the best person to talk to for that. You can certainly call us, you can email us, you can come to the office if you like. We do make appointments. You can certainly drop in and speak to people, but obviously an appointment may make it a little easier so you don't get disappointed or have to wait. And I'll leave that up while people sort of pose some questions, and I'll go through them and answer them. So let me just pull the questions onto this screen. Okay. All right, so bear with me as I sort of try and figure these out. We did Ariel's question. So Ariel, I'm not really sure your question is here. Sorry, you may have to kind of clarify. Ariel's asking, there's a program in the continuing studies that features both digital and content marketing in a part-time program. Is this related? So just to clarify, there are three options. There's a 3-course program in digital marketing. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just finish my answer then. So 3-course program in digital marketing, 3-course program in content marketing, and then there's the full program, which combines the content and the digital, and then there's a couple additional courses. So Ariel sort of figured that out during the presentation, so I can skip that now, but just in case anybody else was confused, I thought I would finish my response. Okay. Oh, sorry, that's okay. So if you're interested in doing the 2 single programs in digital and content separately and not do the full-time program in blended, that's perfectly fine. It's great that you want to do that. That's what they're designed for. So if you choose that, don't worry about the survey part, but good to know. So thanks. So Neil's asking, how many hours in the total program? I want to know the background for each course. When will the January 2020 enrollment applications open? What are the job opportunities for this program? Is there any help provided by York to get us jobs? Okay, all very good questions. I will go through them and do my best to answer them. So I think I probably already answered the hours for the program. So each week, the course is basically 36 hours in length, depending if you're taking full-time or online, or sorry, full-time or the blended. They're broken up a little bit differently, but they're all equivalent to 36 contact hours or 3 credits, if that helps you. You should probably, plan on about, let's say, I don't know, let's say 3 to 5 hours. So let me take a step back. For the full time, on top of the in-class instruction, you should probably expect about, 3 to 5 hours per class per week for readings and homeworks and activities and assignments and that kind of stuff. For the online, you should probably expect about 7 to 10 hours of effort per week. That's, again, reading textbooks, articles, videos, participating in group discussions, all that kind of good stuff. So that's just a bit of the time management perspective. January 2020 will open up in a few weeks. We're just kind of finishing up the fall applications, and once that closes, then we'll put up the January 2020 information. I believe that the date to enroll in those programs will begin in May. So the information will be up in terms of dates and stuff in the next couple of weeks. And then I think the applications and the registration will open up in May. So what are the job opportunities after the program for international students? So if you do the full-time program, as you may know, Neil, you're eligible for a 1-year work permit. And then obviously in terms of you getting a job, we just launched the program. I don't really have any good data that says students from our program have gotten into this field. If you saw from the initial survey, there were certainly lots of people who already work in the field of marketing. So, for them, they may just be upgrading their knowledge. So we don't really have any good data that says these are the jobs you can get. But, I'd certainly suggest you do some sort of Google search or look at some like job search boards, put in the kind of job you think you want and look at the different experiences and educational requirements that you need. So that may be a gauge of, is this the right program for you based on what your background is and what our program offers to get you into a job. But certainly as an international student, you have the ability to work for 1 year after the program ends. In terms of resources, basically, we don't really have a career resource function, unfortunately, in the office. We've got some sort of self-help things on resume writing and whatever. So at the moment, it's really not probably ideal in terms of a career center that's going to sort of help you with job searches and interview skills and those kinds of things. We do try and have some panel discussions. We can bring in some industry folks to kind of give you some more insights, which might be helpful, make some connections, but we don't have any formal components of the program that looks into the career components. So hopefully that answers your question. Arushi is asking about prerequisites. I think I may have answered that in the presentation, but just to clarify, there are no course prerequisites. There are no work prerequisites. If you have no experience in marketing, jumping into the digital one, you'll have to do a little bit of catch up with just understanding marketing and branding and consumer behavior and target audiences and all that good stuff. Segmentation, that's all important. If you're doing the full-time program, then not as much of an issue, just because we'll offer you the kind of marketing 101 class and a little business course to give you a better context and some insights into the field before you get into the more deeper dive of digital and content. Great questions, guys. Lots of questions. I'll keep going through them. Question of visa. Okay, so Gautam is asking a question about the visa for international students. So okay, so the way it works is if you complete a 1-year program, a 1 year of academic study in Canada, you get a 1-year work permit. If you complete a 2-year academic years of study, you get a 3-year work permit. So if you've already completed a business analysis program at another school, George Brown in this case, and then you come and do our program, then that would entitle you to apply for a 3-year work permit when you finish our program. So that's how that works. So it's a pretty nice deal if you can get the 3 years, because you'll have 2 years of study, 3 years of potentially of working, and then that gives you 5 years in Canada, and sometimes that leads to you applying for permanent residency and whatever. Arushi is asking about coding. So correct, no coding required in the program. You're learning about some of the tools, obviously the strategies and things like that, but there's no coding required that I'm aware of in the program. Sarah's asking about the fall classes. I'll come back to that, Sarah, in a second. Let me answer the other questions, and then I'll come back. So I'll go to the website. I don't have the date in front of me, but the blended ones usually start around the 20-something of September, a little bit later, and the full-time ones usually start around the 10th of September, usually the second week of September. So sorry I don't have that in front of me, but it's on the website. So if you want to go to the website, you can certainly find that information. Cherness is asking about scholarships. So unfortunately, because we're a continuing studies office or department, there are no scholarships or things like that, and you're not eligible for OSAP, which is like a degree funding mechanism for students. So if you are interested in our program, you do have to pay for the program in full before it begins. Certainly, I would look into banks and other sort of your own scholarships. But through our office, we do not offer any of those options. So Sarah asked about the workload. I may have just sort of answered that before, Sarah, but yeah, you should certainly expect assignments, activities, readings. There aren't too many textbooks in this program just because it's kind of a new field. So there's lots of articles and videos and things, and there's discussion questions. So for the blended perspective, you should certainly be banking on about 7 to 10 hours per week. For the in-person, the full-time version, on top of your in-class instruction, I would say 2 to 3 hours per course per week, per class per week. So Vishwas is asking, so where are the courses held? They're here at York on our campus, and we're located about north of Toronto. And we now have a new subway, which just opened up about a year ago, so we have easy access to downtown. But we are in Toronto, North Toronto. Avril's asking about the requirements for the full-time program. Nope, there are no prerequisites, so don't worry about it if you don't have a degree or diploma in marketing. It's open to everybody, as long as you meet the requirements for the statement of interest and you're a good fit for the program. And if you're an international student, you meet the language requirements. Okay, so Mansi, so your question about automation tools, again, because I don't work in the field, I'm not an expert, I'll have to sort of get back to you on your question. I have your contact information when you signed up for the webinar, so I will go ahead and try and ask one of my instructors about that and see if I can get both. Lots of questions. You guys are awesome. Okay, so Avril is asking, do I need to finish both certificates before taking the postgraduate? No. So again, if you're doing the part-time ones, the blended ones, those are separate. If you're doing the full-time one, as I said before, it's a combination of both of the blended ones and then a few extra courses. So if you're doing the full-time, you're just doing the full-time postgraduate. Don't worry about the other two blended options because they're not relevant. So Marielle is asking about part-time work for international students. The answer to that is I'm not exactly, I don't want to give advice. I'm not a visa expert. I believe that international students are eligible to work, I believe, up to 20 hours, but you should definitely check on that because I don't want to be giving visa advice because it's not my area of expertise. Vishwas is asking, what course do you suggest after doing the full-time certificate? I'm not sure I understand the question. It really just depends on your interest and your background. If you did a second program, we offer things in full stack web development, which you may find useful, accounting, business, human resources, lots of public relations might be a good sort of program, which has some complementary aspects to digital marketing. So it really just depends on your interest in where you want to go. Oh, thanks, Vishwas. Vishwas said the classes are on the 5th of September, so I should probably know that as a program manager, but I look after a lot of programs and sometimes I forget those details. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Apply for the certificate in digital and content marketing. Okay, yeah. So Akhil is just asking about the when the offer letters are going out. So I hope to have them sent out in the next week or two. I'm just reviewing them right now. And then there's a little bit of a process to get them sort of sent off to you and update our systems of who's been accepted and whatever. So I would say in the next couple of weeks, you should hopefully see that. If not, then certainly send me a note or send Allison a note and she can kind of give you more insights. We do not have an internship or any work placements with this program at the moment. That's something we're sort of looking into as a bigger departmental thing because it takes a lot of infrastructure to sort of have, placements that are add value to you and to the organization. So that's a fairly large undertaking. At the moment, we do not have it. So maybe in the future, but at the moment, does not exist. Akhil's asking about, again, another sort of what program to apply after, an MBA. Totally, again, so hard to say. There's lots of other programs that might complement your interest. We could certainly have a conversation offline about sort of what might be a good fit, but I'd really, suggest you do some thinking about, well, what's an ideal job you want to get? Go look at some job boards to see what that's required. Do you need an MBA? Do you need certificates? Those kinds of things. So really hard to say. We can certainly try to have a conversation offline about that, but I would say really you have to think about your own personal goals. Yeah, so Avros is asking about basically the fact that does not live near the York, can't really do the full-time, the working part. The two separate programs in digital and content are blended. So they are 7 weeks of online and 1 weekend block of face-to-face. So you'd actually come to campus for 1 weekend per course. So I can kind of skip to that if that helps anybody. Oops. So this is what that looks like, Avril, if you missed it earlier. So there's 7 weeks of online and only have to come to York once. So we currently have students who live quite far and they come in just for the weekend. They have to get a hotel obviously for that time, but it's something that they feel is important to them and they do that. So that might be a better option for you based on where you live and work commitments and that kind of stuff. Somebody's asking which course is more valuable of the two, digital or content. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a good question, but it's a tough one to answer. I think content is a little bit ahead of its time, truly, in terms of the jobs that are out there. You'll find more jobs certainly in the digital area. If you do a little search on, jobs in digital marketing, you can kind of see how many sort of results you get. If you do the same thing with content marketing. So if you're new to the field, I think digital will give you a broader understanding and a broader concept of digital marketing. They'll probably include a little bit of the content marketing in there. And then if you understand that, you're feeling comfortable, then you can kind of dive even deeper and get to be sort of a content expert in sort of the writing and those kinds of things and the promotion of the content. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably say start with digital and do content second. Good questions, guys. I just have lots of them, so just bear with me as I go. So Sarah's asking, sorry, I just lost it. Oh, how late can I register for the blended program? So yeah, so the blended one is actually just direct enrollment. So that one will, fill up. Obviously, we did fill up for the September offering. I only have 30 spots. I'll probably have maybe a little bit more this time, just because I didn't want to have too many the first time around, just to make it manageable for the students and my instructor. I wanted everybody to be successful. So I'll probably have a few more students, maybe 40 or so for the September offering, and it did fill up. So just keep that in mind. The full-time will definitely fill up because I've already had quite a few applications. So if you're thinking about doing that, then I would certainly suggest you apply ASAP. The other one, I don't actually have the numbers in front of me of how many people have signed up for it, but it's not near full, I don't think. So you probably have a little more time for sure. Avril was asking about the IELTS score and kind of the fact that it was taken a couple of years ago. Honestly, I'm not an expert in IELTS and in terms of our requirements. It's a better question for Allison. She really knows. She looks after the actual application. She can best guide you if that's going to be acceptable. I actually don't know the answer to it just because I'm not involved that part of the process. Allison looks at all the registrations, the applications, make sure they're complete, and then they just get handed to me as a package. Vishwas is asking if there's any preference given to students who study in our program to get into Schulich. Good question. Schulich is the #1 business school in Canada. Yeah, there's no connection between our program and their program. So if that's what your goal is, yeah, it may help a little bit because you've sort of been a student here at York and you've taken a program, but their programs are very competitive. They stand on their own. They get lots of applications for obvious reasons. So I don't want to say it gives you an advantage or not because I just don't know. It can't hurt you, certainly, but it doesn't certainly put you in a different pile that says this student took a program at York. Let's review this application first, or any preferential treatment. That for sure, no, is not the case. Vishwas just sort of saying, oh yeah, so the IELTS is valid for only 2 years. So yeah, I would check that with Allison just to sort of see if she would flag that as requesting you to retake it. I don't know the answer. That's really a question for her. Oh, sorry. So Sarah is asking about the fee. Sorry, I should have said this earlier. There's a $79 application fee to register for the full-time program. The part-time programs, it's the blended ones, the 3 courses. It's just straight enrollment, no application fee at all. So the application fee is only on the full-time version. And in terms of the payment, the way it works is you have to pay in full before the program begins. So you can make the deposit when you sort of confirm your offer, and then you have up to I think a couple of weeks, whatever the time frame is, to make the payment in full. So you can pay in smaller chunks and whatever the case may be. You don't need to come up with the money the day you sort of register or apply. So hopefully that answers your question there. Awesome questions, guys. If I missed one, just resend it and I'll sort of get to, because I'm at the bottom of my list and there was lots, so I was just going one by one. So if I missed a question that you asked and you didn't get something answered, or if I didn't give you the full answer that you were looking for, just again, send me the information. It is 12:47. I am sensitive to people's time, so I'll stay on as long as people need. But if you have to jump off, let me just sort of quickly say thank you for all your great questions, for being engaged in the webinar. Thanks for joining us today. I know people have busy lives and schedules and stuff, so certainly appreciate you joining us to learn more about our program. It seems like a fairly popular program, so if you do want to participate, I would certainly suggest you apply ASAP, because like I said, I've already received lots and lots of applications and I'm starting to make offers. And if you have more questions, talk to Morgan and Allison. And great. Okay. Vish is just asking about, sorry, one other question came up. Sorry, I'll just finish my thought. Anyway, I hope you do consider our program. The first offering of our full-time went extremely well. I was really pleased. Students seem really happy. There's lots of great engagement. People have really formed a great relationship. I assume that'll happen the next time the course offers. That's it. Thank you for all your questions, for being so engaged. Totally appreciate it. And I hope you guys think of enrolling. I think it's a really good program. I'm really happy about how it's been developed so far. And yeah, if you have any questions, Morgan and Allison can certainly take over, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.